Back again, my faithful friend. I thought I glimpsed your silhouette on the horizon just as the sun touched the western hills. The fire always burns brighter when kindred spirits return to the hearth. You know the ritual by now. That cushion there holds the perfect impression of your form, and the fire has been eager to share tonight's offering. But this evening's tale, this one is different. I've been saving it, you see, waiting for the right moment, the right listener. Some stories choose their audience as much as we choose them. Tonight, I share the chronicle of the Kobold's Lament, a tale that has been whispering at the edges of my consciousness, demanding to be told by someone who truly understands the weight of choice, the price of heroism, the beauty of sacrifice. So, shall we begin? The night is long, the fire is strong, and destiny has been waiting for this moment. In the shadowed depths of the Greenfield's ancient oak forests, where moonlight filtered through leaves like scattered silver coins, there lived a kobold named Pep, who was nothing like his brothers. While the other kobolds of the Scaleshard clan grew fierce and strong, practicing their war cries and sharpening their crude spears, Pip remained small and slight, with scales that gleamed more like copper than bronze, and eyes that held wonder instead of malice. Where his kinfolk saw enemies to be conquered, Pip saw flowers to be tended and songs to be sung. This particular evening, as autumn painted the world in shades of amber and gold, Pip sat alone on his favourite mushroom ring, weaving tiny crowns from fallen leaves. The ritual was soothing, each delicate fold and twist helping to quiet the chaos that had consumed his clan's tunnel home for the past moon.
Pip! Pip! Where are you hiding, runt?
The harsh voice of his cousin, Snarl, echoed through the forest, filled with its usual mixture of irritation and disgust. Pip sighed, his small shoulders sagging. Ever since the tall Dark Ones had come to the clan with their promises of glory and treasure, life had become a constant preparation for something terrible. The kobold spoke in hushed, reverent tones of the Great Awakening, of serving the Queen of Dragons, who would rise from the depths of the Nine Hells to reclaim the world. But Pip couldn't understand why anyone would want to wake up something that had been put to sleep in such a terrible place.
There you are.
Snarl emerged from behind a massive oak, his bronze scales glinting in the moonlight. Like all of Pip's cousins, he had grown large and strong on the dark rituals and bitter foods the tall Dark Ones had brought.
The Dracopriest wants to see you. Now.
Pip's stomach twisted into knots. The Dracopriest was one of the tall Dark Ones, a human who wore robes the color of dried blood and spoke with a voice like grinding stone. He terrified Pip in a way that went beyond simple fear, as if the very air around him was wrong somehow.
Did I do something bad?
Pip asked, though he already knew the answer. In the Scaleshard clan, being different was always doing something bad.
You're breathing,
Snarl replied with a sneer.
That's bad enough. Come on, before I drag you.
The journey back to the clan's tunnel home took them through the heart of the forest, past the sacred grove where Pip had once played with the wood sprites, though he'd never told anyone about that. The ancient trees seemed to lean away from them now, as if even the forest itself could sense the corruption that had taken root in the Kobold clan. The entrance to the tunnel home was marked by new additions, banners bearing the five-headed dragon symbol of their new masters, and skulls arranged in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Guards stood at attention, their eyes glowing with the same unnatural light that had begun to appear in all the clan's warriors. Deep in the tunnels, past chambers that now reeked of sulfur and strange incenses, they found the Dracopriest, waiting in what had once been the clan's sacred hatching chamber. The sight made Pip's heart ache. The warm, comforting space where kobold eggs had been tended for generations was now cold and stark, decorated with symbols that seemed to writhe when he wasn't looking directly at them. The Dracopriest stood with his back to them, studying a map covered in red marks. When he turned, his pale eyes fixed on Pip, with an intensity that made the small kobold want to disappear entirely.
"Ah, the anomaly,"
the Dracopriest said, his voice carrying the weight of falling stones.
"Tell me, little one, why do you resist the gifts we have brought to your clan?"
Pip's mouth went dry. Around the chamber, other kobolds watched with their newly brightened eyes, and he could feel their hunger for violence like heat from a forge.
I don't understand, Tall Dark One.
"Understanding is not required,"
the Dracopriest said, stepping closer.
"Only obedience. Your clan brothers have embraced the power of the Dragon Queen. They have grown strong in her service, yet you remain unchanged."
It was true. While the others had grown larger, fiercer, more savage, Pip remained exactly as he had always been. Small, gentle, and utterly unsuited for the dark path his clan had chosen.
"Perhaps,"
the Dracopriest continued,
"you need a more personal motivation to embrace your destiny."
He gestured to the guards, who dragged forward a burlap sack that wriggled and whimpered. With mounting horror, Pip realized what was inside even before the sack was opened.
"No,"
he whispered, as 3 tiny wood sprites tumbled out onto the cold stone floor. Their gossamer wings were torn, their usually bright eyes dimmed with fear and pain. These were his friends, the gentle creatures who had taught him the songs of growing things and the secret names of flowers.
"You will kill them,"
the Dracopriest commanded, extending a curved dagger whose blade seemed to drink in the light.
"Their deaths will be your first offering to the Queen of Dragons. Their blood will awaken the warrior within you."
The other kobolds began to chant in the new harsh language the Tall Dark Ones had taught them, a sound like grinding bones and falling rocks. The air in the chamber grew thick and oppressive, and Pip could feel something vast and terrible stirring in response to their calls.
I can't,
Pip said, his voice barely audible above the chanting.
They're innocent. They never hurt anyone.
"Innocence is weakness,"
the Dracopriest replied.
"And weakness serves no purpose in the Queen's army. Take the blade, or watch as I make their deaths far less merciful."
Pip looked down at the 3 sprites, who huddled together on the cold stone. The largest, a female with wings like autumn leaves, looked up at him with eyes full of trust, despite everything. She had been the first to befriend him, teaching him the sprite word for kindness, and showing him how to coax wildflowers to bloom out of season.
"It's all right, Pip,"
she whispered in a tinkling voice that sounded like wind chimes.
"We know you're not like them. We know your heart."
The chanting grew louder, and the shadows in the chamber began to move independently of their sources. Pip could feel the weight of his clan's expectations, the Dracopriest's cruel patience, and something else. A presence vast and malevolent that pressed against any boundaries of the world, like a storm seeking entry. But he could also feel something else, something warm and bright that the darkness couldn't quite touch. It was everything he had learned in the forest, the patient wisdom of the trees, the gentle strength of growing things, the fierce protective love that mothers showed for their young. "No!" Pip said, and his voice was stronger than it had ever been before. The chanting faltered. The Dracopriest's eyes widened in surprise. "No!" Pip repeated, standing straighter. "I won't hurt them. I won't serve your queen, and I won't let you turn me into something I'm not." The Dracopriest's surprise quickly turned to rage.
"Foolish creature. You think your pathetic sentimentality can stand against the power of the Dragon Queen? I will show you the price of defiance."
He raised his own blade, its edge gleaming with malevolent energy. But as he stepped toward Pip and the sprites, something unexpected happened. The chamber filled with a sound like spring rain on new leaves, and the air shimmered with gentle silver light. From the shadows stepped figures that made the kobolds gasp and stumble backwards. Dryads and treants, sprites and sylphs, all the forest folk who had watched the growing corruption with increasing alarm. At their head walked an ancient dryad whose bark-like skin bore the wisdom of centuries, and whose eyes held the deep, patient power of the earth itself. "Enough!" she said, and her voice carried the authority of storms and seasons. "This child is under our protection." The Dracopriest snarled, raising his blade higher.
Forest witch, you have no power here. This is sacred ground, consecrated to the Queen of...
His words were cut off as roots erupted from the stone floor, wrapping around his ankles with inexorable strength. The other kobolds scattered as more roots burst through the chamber walls, and the air filled with the scent of rich earth and growing things. "This ground was sacred long before your queen ever dreamed of escaping her prison," the Dryad replied calmly. "And it remembers." The Dracopriest fought against the roots, but more and more emerged from the earth to bind him. His cruel blade shattered against the strength of living wood, and his curses turned to pleas as the forest reclaimed the desecrated chamber. "Pip," the Dryad said gently, extending one bark-covered hand. "Come. It's time to leave this place." Pip looked around at the chaos. His clan brothers fleeing in terror, the Dracopriest being dragged down into the earth itself, the sacred symbols of his people's corruption crumbling away like autumn leaves. Part of him felt he should stay, should try to help his family find their way back from the darkness. But the larger part of him, the part that had always known he was different, stepped forward and took the Dryad's hand. "What about them?" he asked, nodding toward the three sprites. "They're free," the Dryad replied with a smile that was like sunrise after a long, dark night. "As are you." The forest folk withdrew as quickly as they had come, taking Pip and the sprites with them. Behind them, the kobold tunnels echoed with the sounds of collapse and the fading curses of the Dracopriest. In the days that followed, as the cult of the dragon's influence spread across the green fields, there were stories told in the villages of a small kobold who walked with the forest folk. Some said he was a spy. Others claimed he was a shapeshifter or a mad hermit. But the truth was simpler and more wonderful than any of the stories. Pip had found his place, not with the clan that had tried to change him, but with the gentle creatures who accepted him exactly as he was. He spent his days tending to injured animals, learning the deep songs of the earth, and helping lost travelers find their way home. And on quiet evenings, when the moon was full and the forest was peaceful, he would sit in his mushroom ring and weave crowns of leaves, each one a small prayer for a world where kindness was stronger than cruelty, and where even the smallest creature could choose to be a light in the darkness. The Kobold's Lament had become a song of hope, and in the growing shadow of the Dragon Queen's return, hope was more precious than any treasure in any hoard. And so, this tale draws to a close. Though its echoes may linger in your dreams tonight, the fire burns lower now. But don't despair. I have countless more stories waiting to be shared with you. If this tale stirred something within you, if it reminded you why magic still matters in this mundane world, then please, light your own beacon. That glowing thumbs up tells the spirits of story that our fellowship grows stronger. Subscribe to join our circle permanently, and ring that notification bell so you'll know the moment I return with new chronicles. The fire burns brightest when more souls gather around it, wouldn't you agree? Now if that's the case, share this tale with another weary soul who needs it, reminding them that adventure still exists. Tag a friend who would appreciate a good story by the fire. The more who believe, the more real these worlds become. And if you're new to our hearth, explore the playlist of chronicles that I've gathered. Tales of heroes and villains, love and loss, magic and mystery, each one carefully chosen for souls like yours. Until the fire calls us together again, may your own adventures be worthy of legend. And may you never lose the wonder that brought you here tonight. Travel or sleep well, brave soul. The long rest awaits your return.